Well, Bishop Nicholas Hudson, moderator of the Holy Land Coordination Meeting. We're here, we're in Jerusalem. The time we landed, we heard whilst we were in the air that a ceasefire had been brokered, a ceasefire that is due to come into being on Sunday the 19th of January, something we've prayed for many months, for 15 months, Bishop Nicholas.
Well, indeed, it was in fact very moving to touch down in Tel Aviv, turn on our phones and see flash up the news that a ceasefire had been agreed. And we met lots of people on our first day here in the Holy Land who said to us, we really hope that this peace is going to hold. We went over to Bethlehem and spent the day there, and that was a recurring theme from people all over that city. We went to be present to the Christians in Bethlehem, who've been feeling so much of the lack of visitors these last 15 months or so. I had the privilege of going to spend a morning with the Bethlehem Hospice and Care Trust, which is a wonderful Christian initiative, albeit with a great number of Muslim people coming alongside of them in their care for those people who have terminal illnesses. It's a kind of model of palliative care which I describe a bit like hospice at home, because it's our hospice model from Western Europe and other Western societies, adapted really to a Middle East conviction that people who have terminal illnesses really should be able to be looked after at home right until they die. And we met the palliative team and went out with them to two different families to go and visit two elderly people who were dying, and I was able to bless them, and they seemed deeply touched as we were by the fact that we'd come to be with them in that way. You know, the Holy Land Coordination describes itself in terms of 4 P's: prayer, presence, pilgrimage and pressure. And in a way, I said to myself, we're immediately fulfilling on our first morning 2 of those P's. One is to be present to Christians in the Holy Land and to pray with them. And you can imagine those 2 ladies that I met will stay with me. They asked me to pray for them, and I asked them to pray for me and to pray for the Holy Land Coordination.
And the group was somewhat split in half, and we remained at St Martha's House, a daycare centre for the elderly, 70s, but primarily 80s and even 90s. And those ladies again told us we were the first visitors since October 23. And it was very moving. There were tears, actually. There was also laughter, which may surprise some people, and dancing. And Bishop Jim Curry enjoyed a dance with some of the ladies, and it was just almost like a distraction from all the suffering and all the difficulties that have come before. Did you get that feeling as well when you returned to St Martha's House?
I did. It was tangible. I could feel the mixture of emotions, both the joy and the sadness, as they were keen to tell us that we were the first people who'd been for such a long time. And again, they were talking in terms of their deeply felt desire and hope and prayer that the ceasefire will hold. But also I got this sense that a place like Martha's House has been something of a light in the darkness for these people. It's given them sustenance and hope. You know, we're in the beginning of a jubilee year of hope, and I'm already beginning to sense that the Christians in the Holy Land have been keeping hope alive for many people.
And just that final question, Bishop Nicholas, obviously with the ceasefire due to come into play on Sunday the 19th, a day of prayer for us, a day of resurrection, a Sunday. Obviously we hope that peace holds, and it is a difficult time, but we are pilgrims of hope, aren't we? What would your prayer be for these delicate times?
Well, you know, one of the most moving parts of our visit to Bethlehem was that we found ourselves alone in the Church of the Nativity, and what a privilege it was, but what a sad privilege it was in a way to go down into the grotto where Christ came into the world over 2,000 years ago, but also a marvellous opportunity, and that was the consolation that we were able to pray deeply and long. And I prayed there for peace, and as I knelt before the star of hope that marks the point, the place of Jesus' birth, I prayed so deeply to the Prince of Peace that he might help the peace hold, that he might care for the leaders who can bring most influence to bear on holding this ceasefire, that he might hold the peace. And also I prayed as well for all the families on either side, that they might be reunited. And I prayed as well that aid might now be allowed to flow into Gaza, poor beleaguered Gaza, and that people on both sides of the conflict might be able to now rebuild their lives.
Well, I'm sure we will have many updates throughout the Holy Land coordination. But one striking last observation, Bishop Nicholas, is that emptiness in the streets, isn't it? I mean, it would be full of pilgrims ordinarily, and this is a season of pilgrims of hope. How did you feel seeing those empty streets, and of course knowing the economic impact on the people that lack of tourism, that lack of pilgrimage brings?
It brought home to me how hard it has been for places like Bethlehem these last 15 months, not for people not to come and be with them, not to come and support them economically, whether it was cafes, whether it was shops, whether it was Martha's house, whether it was with the hospice team. They were all saying the same: you're the first people who have come for such a long time. Thank you for coming. We need you to come much more. And in a sense it touched on one of our other P's, the P of pilgrimage, which I think we'll be talking about more often during this Holy Land coordination, that we need to find ways of coming to be present on pilgrimage now in the Holy Land, especially now that the ceasefire has been signed this morning.
Bishop Nicholas Hudson, thank you very much.